Okay, Norm, and unmuting you. Welcome back to F.A.C.E.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, Norm, I got you.
All right.
So, all right. So you remember how to share the screen? I
I'm
can't
working on
talk
it
this
now.
morning.
I think I got it. Maybe share that.
You got it.
All right. Can you see my notes on the screen now?
Got it. Page 1 is up. Norm, take it away.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay.
You want? I want Norm. Started using astrology when he was young. It was his way of meeting women. He'd go up and ask them if he could do their chart, which is a more original line than "Would you like to come and see my etchings?" And he turned that into starting to, I think you did it with horses too, Norm. And then you went to the markets, and he was one of the original SIBO members on the Chicago Board of Options Exchange. Norm knows GAN. He knows, all these different esoteric types of analysis, and he teaches it. And now he's going to, just give you a review of what his teachings generated last month. And he has courses that you can take to learn what's becoming kind of a lost art. You're not seeing a lot of new people embracing the kind of things that Norm does because there aren't as many great teachers out there anymore. Go ahead, Norm.
Okay. Thanks, Dale. Yeah, I have about 50 years of market experience, and I stumbled on astrology in college and started investing and did well enough to, this in the early 70s, ended up buying a membership on the new fledgling Chicago Board Options Exchange in 1975. Only paid $25,000 for a membership. That's pretty good. And also later on, it became traded on the Board of Trade too, Chicago Board of Trade. So I've been doing this a long time.
Okay.
We're going to be another person who did this sort of thing was Mr. W.D. Gann. I don't know if your people know who Gann was, but
Sure.
he's considered by many to be the greatest market technician of the 20th century. And Mr. Gann's main timing tool was astrology. He was an astrologer. How do I know that? Because back in the late 70s, early 80s, I got the good fortune to get to talk to somebody who worked with Mr. Gann for about 10 years. So, and if you want more proof, you call me. I'll show you a chart where Mr. Gann was putting the planets on his soybean chart. Alrighty, so here we go. So you might want to take a snapshot of this part of the page here because this is our main guide. I'm going to go back in a couple of weeks and we'll see some cycles and try to learn some cycles. Almost all these cycles repeat sometime or another. And so they might occur in the future. And then you can say, oh, I remember when Norm showed me that. And this could be something big in the future, So there you go. So starting off, well, and you're going to have to learn, we're going to learn some Greek and Latin too, probably,
Okay.
So anyway, so starting off with, what's that again?
No Hebrew?
Maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
Shabbat Shalom. There you go. So Venus is on the weekend of the 30th. A.C. is after the close. I got 10:30 after the close. That was a Friday. Over the weekend, we had Venus perihelion. What's that? That's from Greek. Helios is sun for Greek, and para means near. So that in the Venus's 225-day cycle around the sun, the planets go around the sun not in a circle, but in an ellipse, egg-shaped. Egg-shaped orbit. And so there's a point where they are close and there's a point where they are far. So perihelion is the point where it's at its closest in that cycle. Okay, keep that in mind. And then Venus, I've been able to correlate different planets with different markets, and also we have the 12 zodiac signs, and I've correlated some of those with the markets, with the different markets too. So okay, so Venus we're going to be watching because it has to do with the Venus and the sun. We'll be looking at cattle, copper, corn, cotton, gold, stocks, sugar, and wheat. By the way, let me just back up here and give you some general principles. Mr. Gann told us that time was more important than price. And I'm going to if you decide to pursue this, I'm going to revolutionize your trading, make it much, much simpler. You don't need any moving averages for this because we're projecting the key times. The key times give you the key prices. You don't need to forecast the time. we have the solar system doing all the work for us. Okay, so that's nature. Nature is genius. If you want if you a big drug company wants to find a wonder drug, what do? They send a guy out in the Amazon jungle. He picks a leaf off of a tree. They send it to a laboratory, find out what he does. That's Mother Nature at work, not the drug company. Here we go. We got the solar system doing our timing work for us, and that's the main thing is time. Time is everything. Okay. So there we go. So we don't need any moving average, don't need oscillators, no alligators, no none of that stuff. You throw out your candlesticks, whatever it is.
I saw a tweet with a huge alligator running around your hometown in Naples.
Yeah, we have occasional alligators for that. That's correct.
I thought it was your dog.
Anyway, so there you go. So I'm going to make this a whole lot simpler. Remember, the key times give you the key price. So another principle I trade on is Isaac Newton's law of for every action, the opposite equal reaction. We look for extremes in these planetary change in trend windows. Well, a high percentage of time will forecast that the direction is going to change. As you get a change in trend, sometimes occasionally you get an acceleration of the trend or breakout. But most of the time, it's a change in direction. And there we go. So that's what we're going to be looking at. So Venus perihelion, Venus got to an extreme in its cycle. Then anytime you get a big convergence of cycles, that could be really big, as you will see as we look at these charts. Then we had a full moon in Taurus, and that was at apogee. That doesn't happen every month. You have a full moon every month. You have the moon apogee every month. Of those two cycles corresponding only happens every 14 months. And so that was a big deal. That's called a micro moon. It's the opposite. Maybe you've heard of a super moon. That's the opposite super moon. And so if you've listened to me before, I always say at the new moon, full moon, round up your usual suspects for financials, grains, precious metals. And in this case, we're running a special because it's in Taurus the pole. As you might guess, that might be cattle and also cotton. So then we have Mercury at perihelion, and that's Mercury is going to be doing the same thing Venus is, but this is very rare that both Venus and Mercury would be at perihelion right about the same time over that 30th weekend. So this is really getting to be as you add these different cycles, this is getting to be a big deal. So then we have corn, gold, soybeans, stocks, and wheat. And then on the afternoon of November 2nd, we have another huge cycle. Jupiter is going to line up with Saturn in Aquarius, and that only occurs every 19 and a half years. But wait, that's only a sub-cycle of a bigger cycle. We have 12 signs of the zodiac that are subdivided into your four fire, earth, air, water, your four elements. And so Jupiter and Saturn have not been conjunct together in Aquarius for about 960 years. You probably remember when that last happened, right, Dale?
Well, 960.
There we go. So that's part of we only change element every 240 years. So this is another huge cycle. But wait, as they say on late night TV, that's not all. This is also part of a 2,160-year cycle called the precession equinox, when the stars move 30 degrees. And so, for example, we had 2,000 years ago approximately, we moved in the age of Pisces, when those three astrologers looked for who's born on with these planets lined up like this. And you might have heard that story before. And Pisces is the fish, and the opposite is the lobe. So that might sound familiar to some people out there. So there you go. Now if you're old, Dale's and I, if you're in our age bracket, you might remember back in the 60s, a very popular Broadway show called Hair. And one of the top songs from that show was The Dawning of the Age of Aquarius. And so now they were about 50 years too early, but now it's actually happening now. So anyway, I know this probably won't make anybody. But if you want to hear more about that, you can contact me. I got a whole article on that.
They changed it to the age of Ethereum from Aquarius.
What's that again?
The age of Ethereum.
Okay, don't know about that.
Yeah, that's a crypto.
All right. Anyway, we'll be looking at Jupiter and Saturn have to do with Saturn is coffee, and Aquarius is copper, and stocks is the big basket of everything, it responds to potentially all these things. And then on the afternoon of the 3rd, we had Mercury. It was in the sign of Libra. This was the last time we had Mercury turn direct on election day was 2000. How about that? You remember 2000,
Oh,
right?
that's cool.
Disputed election. And guess what?
Yeah.
This happened right in the middle of the day on election day. And again, we have a disputed election. You see? So there you go. So we have change in trend for the corn and Mercury is the green. So corn, soybeans, because it's in Libra, is sugar, stocks, and wheat. And then we're going to get a little closer back on Monday when they had the huge blow off there in the stock market. We had something big to U.S. natal chart. What's a natal chart? We take a snapshot of when something is born or something began. The U.S. began on July the 4th, 1776. So we have a snapshot of those planets. And when something important is happening now, with the planets now in harmonic relationship to those planets, that can be a big deal. So we have Jupiter 120 degrees. That's an important angle to where Neptune was on July the 4th, 1776. And that made a new all-time high on the
That was the
S&P.
vaccine news on that day.
What's
Yeah.
that?
The vaccine news that day.
Right, vaccine is right. And I said that was a very positive cycle for the U.S. and so forth, right? So we got stocks, your U.S. financial stocks, T-bonds, U.S. dollar, and because of Neptune, we look at oil too, and I think oil had a big move there too. So there we go. So and we got one more to go here. The afternoon of the 10th, we had Mercury. That's the greens again. That's another cycle, and with Mercury and Venus do this. It's their relationship with the relative to the Earth and the Sun. Sometimes they are ahead of the Sun. Sometimes they're behind the Sun relative to as you look at them from planet Earth. So they swing back and forth on this cycle like a pendulum, and about every so often they get to an extreme of that. That's called maximum elongation, and that's a potential change in trend for your grains, and of course stocks are the big basket of everything. So now let's look at these different cycles and how they what they did. And by the way, this system tells you what markets to look at. There's very little thinking necessary here. And Dale, as you probably know, the less you think, the better you will do. Thinking is hazardous to your financial health when it comes to trading. Right? Would you agree with that, Dale?
Yes, yes. I got a question from one of the attendees. Is any of your astrological work telling you who will eventually be president?
What's that? Yes, I did. I forecasted every presidential election since 1972, and up until this election, I'd hit all but two.
Okay.
I was correct on all but two.
How
My
about
favorite one was the first one. I forecasted Nixon would win by a landslide, but then
Yeah.
he would regret that he won, and I think that was pretty accurate.
How about now? What do you think is going to happen with?
So far I'm not looking great. Trump forecasted Trump would win, but it ain't over till it's over, right?
Okay.
Maybe
All
I'm
right.
wrong this time. It all comes down to you have to have their correct birth time. All right,
Yeah.
I'm confident about Trump. I'm not that confident about Biden. I got it off of the internet there, and there was no verification or proof that was his correct birth time. But that's all I had to go on, so I had to go with whatever they gave me. Right?
Okay.
All right. Here's our window there. For our window, we had two signals over that 30th weekend for cattle. We had the Venus thing. That's Venus has to do with Taurus, and the full moon was in Taurus, and that's where we'd be looking for a change in trend. And we had a short-term top there for cattle. So there's your two green. It means we had a chance to make some money. You see a red one, that means we probably had a miss. All right, coffee. Look at that. We're right near the bottom there on coffee. That's pretty good on the 2nd of November.
Yeah.
Okay. With the Jupiter Saturn lineup,
Yeah.
what Saturn is coffee. Here we go. We have the Jupiter Saturn. Oh, this is the Venus and the full moon over the weekend there. And that's the Venus thing is copper. Yeah, Venus copper. And then we had the Jupiter Saturn thing for the 2nd of November. And that was a miss because it just kept, you would have sold it because that keeps going higher, kept going higher. So we went 50-50 on the copper. Here's the corn, did pretty well. We had made the bottom right there on the full moon. And also we had Mercury, that adds grains. And then we had a little breakout there of the downtrend right on our Mercury going direct. I don't know if the folks know what the retrograde and direct is. Do the relative motion of the Earth, the planets look like. That's the key word. Appear to look like occasionally they stop their motion and reverse the direction. Mercury does this about 3 times a year. When it stops, it goes backwards for about 3 weeks, and then it stops to go forward. That's called direct. Backwards is retrograde, and so that's a important cycle. Back of this when the stock market topped in February on the 19th, that was within about a day of Mercury turning retrograde. And there's been many major important turns of the market when Mercury turns retrograde or direct. So anyway, turned direct there. We had a breakout of the downtrend, boom, and then you went up, up, up. And then there's that Mercury elongation cycle. We had a crop report come out right. The Mercury elongation was right in the middle of the day, and we had a crop report come out about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. And these grains exploded. Corn, soybeans, wheat, they all exploded to the upside, and then they made a top that day. And that's been, I think, for most of these grains, the high of the month so far.
Nice.
Yeah. So here you go, cotton. This looks really nice. There's your full moon in Taurus and Venus. It's a Taurus market, and there you go. You're right on the low. That nice low there. That's the low of the month so far. Gold was we were off a couple days on the gold there. See, so I got to mark that as a miss. Okay, low was back there on the 29th, and I got to be right within 1 day, or I mark it wrong. Okay, here's your crude oil. I was 1 day early on the crude oil there, but not only 1 day early, but it moved to like $3 against you. That's not acceptable. And we've been close in price, and within 1 day early, that'd be okay. But for that amount of money, that amount of heat, not good. So we got to mark that a red arrow there. Here's silver, like the gold. I was off 2 days on that. That's a miss. If it's going sideways like there, I don't do it. So I put a yellow bar there, show you that we've got a pass window. It's a passing window. There we go. But we did it over here. We got to another signal, Mercury going direct, and that's grains. And you see we broke out of that consolidation there, and then up, up, and away. And there's your Mercury elongation there on the 10th, and that was right near the top. You were 1 day ahead of the top tick there on the 11th. You see that? Here's your S&P. We had a big cluster. All these cycles lined up. The stock market is receptive to all these cycles. And over the 30th, they had like 4 different cycles there. And that broke, and we were breaking that downtrend line. And now that week, first week of November, I don't know if you folks know it or not, it was the biggest up week since April for the stock market, for the S&P, and I think maybe the NASDAQ too. And then we had some cycles over here, and the markets have been chopping kind of sideways there, so we're not doing anything there. Some of these things we'll be repeating here coming up in another day or two, like the related to the moon, not exactly a repeat, but related, you know. Here's your sugar. That was a Venus thing, and look at that. You're buying it right near the low. And the funny thing about the sugar is within 3 days, it made the the low of the day, try again. It made the low of the month and the high of the month, all within 3 days. So there you go. You bought there. That was our next window there with Mercury turning direct in Libra. Sugar is Libra, you see. So there you go. So we got bought near the low of the month. We sold near the high of the month. So that's kind of what you want to do, I think. Right, Dale?
Yeah.
Here, T-bonds, it was that's a clear miss there. It was going down. I wouldn't have been inclined to buy, and it went lower. So that's not good. So that's a miss. And here we had a little short-term top there on the bonds. Okay. Here's your wheat. Wheat was good. Buying there near the low. There's your low there on the 30th, and you had a chance to buy it on the opening on November 2 on Monday, and then up, up, and away. And then we had that. And then I think I missed one here, Mercury. Oh yeah, okay. I left one off. Well, anyway, I won't count that when we add up the score there because I left it off. But that would have been Mercury elongation there, and that looks like that was a bit of a low there on the wheat, which is contrary to the other greens, you know. Right? So anyway, you had a winner there, and we should have had a winner there. I missed marking that one. Okay, here's the currencies. Now we're going to get into currencies. Everybody can wake up now. We're going to do about 5 currencies. There's your dollar right on the high of the month. Okay, that's the moon. Is this simple or what? All you got to know is know when the full moon and the new moon are. new moon are, and a high percentage of the time, these currencies dance to the moon, and you get a nice turn. There's your dollar. Don't need to predict any prices. Just wait till you get there, and the planets in the market will tell you what to do. Here you go. Here's your Aussie dollar right on the low of the month. Here's your British pound on the low of the month. Here's your Canadian dollar, not as good. It's going kind of going sideways a little bit, but it did dip there on Monday the 2nd, right after the full moon, and so you had a chance to buy near the lows there and up and away. Here's your euro. You're buying it near the lows there for it did flop back down, so you would. I use a trailing stop, so hopefully you captured some profit there, right? And here's, I always like to try to throw something in different for educational purposes. I do fractals. I fractalize about 27 markets. What's that? As we take a small piece of the market, and that like a pine tree, you have different levels of order, repeating pattern, different levels of order, like a pine tree. The branch looks like a small pine tree. So we can, based on the price action in January, in February, I project the rest of the year. So here's what I did. This blue lines are the model, forecast model for the year for Treasury bonds. And this is and I sometimes flip it upside down because sometimes these models follow the inverted model. But you can see this is working out pretty well. And this says after a little bounce here in mid-November, this was updated last at the end of October. And after a little bounce here, which I think we just got here in the last day or so, we are due to roll over and have a pretty big down in the bond. So if you haven't refinanced your mortgage yet, or you have a mortgage, you might want to think about doing that right away before interest rates go up, up, up. That's the way it's looking now. Okay. Okay, let's look ahead now. We got Helio Jupiter lining up with Saturn. That's kind of a repeat of something we had on November the 2nd. And we're going to be looking at, and we want to see these markets at this is yesterday. Want to see these markets at some extreme, and then we can look for a reversal. If they're going sideways, not good. There's your coffee, copper, and stocks. You can look up these charts, hopefully yourself, and you'll be able to easily figure it out in a matter of seconds. Jupiter lined up with Pluto and Capricorn. That's going to be cocoa, coffee, hogs, stocks, and T-bonds. Mars only does this every 2 years. It's been going retrograde and going backwards for a couple of months, and this weekend it's going to turn direct over this weekend. And but wait, that's not all. It's going to do that this weekend. We have a new moon at perigee. Okay, so that's a 14-month cycle. That's when the moon is at its closest point to the Earth, and coinciding with the new moon. That only happens every 14 months. And so now that's a powerful combination of a moon. That's called a supermoon. That's corresponding with Mars turning direct. I expect some big, powerful change in trend points happening this weekend. And because of the moon, we'll be looking for grains, precious metals, cocoa, hogs, and T-bonds because it's in the sign of Scorpio. And with this, the lunar syzygy, that's the technical term, lunar syzygy. This is an extra powerful new moon. Then we also have, next week, a week from now, over the Friday 20th weekend, we have a huge cluster of cycles for the U.S. It's been a long time since I've seen anything like this before. Something really big is going to happen with the U.S., and maybe that's a resolution of this election. I'm not sure how it's going to all work out, but something really big is happening in about a week from now, okay? Maybe Friday over the weekend. Probably not later than Monday the 23rd. Okay. All right. So keep a watch on that. These are two markets I did not cover in the review, but they're coming up on them with the weekend moon. We got cocoa. It's kind of coming down a little bit. Might be if we push it to more of extreme. Looks like it could be a low there if it's coming down. Hogs are going absolutely sideways so far as of last night when I did these charts. So far, the hogs are kind of sleeping, So there you go. So there's all the charts. You can get a hold of me. I offer classes. Like I said, I got about 50 years of experience. I know about Gann. I know about Elliott Wave, but I don't do much Elliott Wave. I think it drives you crazy. And I keep it real simple. as you see, I don't have any. And all the stuff that everybody else does, no spaghetti on my chart there. And so it's real simple. If you like simple and you don't want to work so hard, give me a call. I got free classes. I'll teach you how to day trade this stuff, and the same principles. Try to get it down to 1 to 2 minutes on the Astro intraday stuff, the smaller cycles. You know, right? So here's my contact information.
When's your next free class start?
When my next classes are, is that what you said?
When's it start? Your next free class?
Oh, I do them monthly.
Okay.
So if you get a hold of me now, we'll get you in the queue for December.
Okay.
Okay. Just a great holiday present for yourself, you know?
Yeah.
All right. There's my contact information. I'm in beautiful Naples, Florida. And there's my phone, 239-594-3939. You might want to try and copy and paste my email. It's a long one. And Winski at embark with a Q in the middle, mail.com. You can call me on Skype and Winski_1. So thanks for having me on. I hope to looking forward to contact me right away. I'm in my lesser part of the busy month, less busy now than I will be toward the end of the month. So I appreciate if you get a hold of me right away, and looking forward to helping some of your folks, Dale.
Okay, Norm, thank you very much for coming here and sharing your work with us. I appreciate it. And for those of you who have an interest in this stuff, I don't think you could find a better teacher.
Oh, I did miss one thing, Dale. If I could just back up, I skipped over that. I didn't give you the score, the batting average for these things right there. I missed that. I had 25. If you count the green arrows and red arrows, I had 25 winners and 6 misses out of 31. That's for 80.65%. So if you're doing better than that, call me anyway and let me know how you do that. If you're not doing that well, you need to call me, and so I can show you how you might get there. You know, right? All right. Sorry about that.
All right. That's okay, buddy.
So, all right, everybody, have a great weekend.
I hope you have a great holiday season. Mike trading more your brother and health, and that your family, loved ones remain untouched by this invisible enemy.
Okay, Dale. Thanks a lot.
All right, buddy. All right, that's a wrap, everyone, for the week. Enjoy your weekend. Remember, don't just count your planets, count your blessings. And I'll see everyone tomorrow. Not tomorrow. See how fried I am by Friday. Have a great weekend. We'll be back. You know, our mission is to build up and identify traders every day. Hope we accomplished it. And part of the way we do it is by bringing in guys like Norm Winski. Have a great weekend, everyone. Adios. You're welcome. You're welcome, guys and ladies. See you, Richard, Michael.